Hello everyone! Today we're going to take a closer look at a story that has viewers absolutely unable to look away in Beyond the Gates 2025. As Vanessa prepares to enter a new marriage with Joey, everything should have felt like a peaceful new beginning. But the closer the wedding gets, the more troubling questions begin to surface. Her family still has not accepted him, Deanne keeps pushing back, and Doug's shadow seems to have never truly disappeared. What makes all of this even more compelling is the feeling that behind this wedding there is not only love, but also secrets, suspicion, and a truth that could change everything. The more Vanessa rushes toward Joey, the more uneasy the audience becomes, because a marriage that happens too quickly after a devastating loss has never been a true sign of peace. What makes this situation so worrying is not the wedding dress or the carefully prepared ceremony, but the fact that her family still cannot open their hearts to Joey. A woman who has already lived through deep pain usually does not rush because of love alone, but because she wants to put an end to the instability closing in around her. Vanessa may not simply want to become Joey's wife. On a deeper level, she may be trying to reclaim the feeling that she still has a home, still has somewhere to lean after the old world around her fell apart. That is why this urgency may not be proof of happiness at all, but a sign that Vanessa is more terrified of loneliness than ever before. Deanne's opposition to the wedding does not come only from the instincts of an older family member who senses that something is wrong, but also because she may be the one who understands most clearly that a marriage built on suspicion can never bring peace. If she simply disliked Joey, she would not carry this same heaviness, caution, and lingering guilt. Her resistance may come from fear that Vanessa is pushing herself into yet another mistake, but it could also come from the fact that she knows more than she has admitted about Doug. Someone who stays silent for too long is often not merely observing, but weighing the cost of telling the truth. If Deanne has known that something dark surrounded the night Doug disappeared, then her resistance is no longer an emotional reaction. It becomes a warning that has come far too late. As for Joey, the more he presents himself as ready to give Vanessa a new life, the more he makes everyone question what his true intentions really are. A man who truly wants to give the woman he loves a home would be willing to wait for her to heal, for her family to calm down, and for every suspicion to be addressed. But a man who wants to quickly legitimize bringing her into his home would act differently. He would push the wedding forward like a door that needs to be shut before anyone can step in and stop it. The difference is subtle, but it says a great deal. If Joey is sincere, he would not fear time. But if Joey is afraid of the truth coming to light, then his urgency itself becomes suspicious evidence. In stories like this, the person who wants the wedding the fastest is sometimes the one with the most to hide. The question that turns everything upside down is the possibility that Doug may still be alive. If that is true, then the entire story of his death stops being a simple tragedy and becomes either a staged performance or a deliberate chain of deception. When a man believed to be dead suddenly returns, the real issue is not only that he survived, but who controlled the story during all that time, who allowed Vanessa to suffer, and who benefited the most from Doug's absence. This is the point where every suspicion naturally circles back to Joey. But it is also impossible to rule out the possibility that Deanne or someone else helped keep the secret because they believed it would somehow protect Vanessa. The most painful part is not whether Doug is alive or dead, but that Vanessa may have built an entire new decision on a false version of the truth. If Doug appears at the wedding, that moment will not simply mean he has come back to reclaim the wife he once had. A return like that always carries two meanings. One is love, and the other is warning. If Doug appears only because he still loves Vanessa, viewers may be moved by the image of a husband returning from loss to hold on to his family. But if Doug arrives tense, urgent, and visibly on edge, then it suggests that he is not there to compete, but to stop something. And if he truly wants to keep Vanessa from falling into the hands of a dangerous man, then Joey is no longer just a controversial groom. He becomes the center of a much deeper fear. In that moment, the wedding would no longer be a day of happiness, but the place where the truth tears apart every beautiful surface that had been built before it. Joey's reaction when he sees Doug will be the most important detail in determining whether he is truly blindsided or whether he knew all along. Genuine shock is almost impossible to hide because it does not just appear on a person's face. It disrupts the way they move and think in the first few seconds. But if Joey recovers too quickly, or if his reaction seems more calculated than stunned, then that is an extremely dangerous sign. A man who is truly caught off guard would unravel because his entire future plan is collapsing in front of him. But a man who already knew would only be thinking about how to manage the situation before his secrets are exposed. That is why Doug's appearance would not only leave Vanessa shaken, but might also become the clearest test of all in stripping away Joey's mask. For Vanessa, this is where the deepest tragedy lies, because she would be pulled between two completely opposing images of manhood. On one side is Joey, the man standing in front of her with promises of a new life, a new sense of protection, and the safety she thought she needed. On the other side is Doug, the husband she believed she had lost, tied to the past, to pain, but also to the most genuine part of her life, the part she never truly closed the door on. When a woman is forced to choose between the present and the past in the middle of deception, that choice is no longer about who her heart leans toward. It becomes a question of who she is still capable of trusting. The most painful realization may be that Vanessa has not only been led by other people, but also pushed into a premature decision by her own fear of loss. If Doug reveals a different truth about the night he disappeared, Vanessa's pain will run far deeper than simply learning that he is alive. At that point, she would not just be hurt because she was deceived, but because she would have to face the possibility that she judged everything wrong. Maybe she rushed to believe Doug had left her life forever. Maybe she convinced herself that moving toward Joey was the only way to keep going. But if that night did not happen the way she was told, if someone twisted the truth and hid the crucial missing pieces, then Vanessa will have to re-examine every step she has taken since then. This kind of pain is quiet, but devastating because it does not explode all at once. It seeps into the foundation of trust and leaves a woman unsure even of her own choices. That is why the end silence becomes such a painful knot in the story. Some people stay silent because they want to protect the people they love from too much shock. But there are also silences that last so long they unintentionally become part of the tragedy. If Deanne sensed that Doug might not be dead, or suspected that something in the story of his disappearance was wrong, then her failure to speak sooner has allowed Vanessa to walk deeper and deeper into this marriage with Joey. This makes Deanne a very complicated character, because she is not necessarily cruel, but her hesitation may have pushed everything beyond repair. In many families, older relatives choose silence because they think they are preserving stability, but that false stability is often what makes the truth so much more brutal when it finally comes out. After the wedding is stopped, Vanessa's path will probably not be as simple as going back to Doug or continuing to hold Joey's hand. A shock that powerful is enough to wake a woman out of a life built on panic and emotional dependence. Vanessa may choose no one right away, because the first thing she loses is not a man, but her sense of certainty about her own life. After everything that has happened, the strongest choice would not be to immediately belong to Doug or Joey, but to stop, face the truth, ask who truly loved her, who took advantage of her pain, and why she was put in this position in the first place. If the story goes in a deeper direction, Vanessa will be forced to step out of the role of a woman being carried away by circumstance and become someone who actively decides her own fate. And that moment may be the most powerful one of all, because it will not only decide who she stays with, but also what kind of woman Vanessa will become after every layer of deception around her finally collapses. Thank you all for taking the time to watch my video, and thank you for your trust. Everything I share is only personal speculation and opinion. If you found this video interesting and helpful, please support me with a like and leave a comment below. If you have even better ideas or more interesting theories, feel free to share them in the comments so everyone can discuss together. I truly appreciate every contribution and every bit of support. Thank you so much. And if you have not followed us yet, please scroll down and hit the subscribe button.